Welcome back to Secure with Dr. KJ in the Season 3 finale. I couldn't think of a better guest to close out this season. Today I'm joined by Kimberly Williams, an enterprise product leader with over 17 years of experience designing, building, and scaling enterprise systems. Her career spans infrastructure, application development, and platform strategy with a deep focus on transforming legacy environments into modern, cloud-based architectures. She's led high-impact initiatives across large distributed networks, bringing a builder's mindset to creating resilient and scalable solutions in highly regulated industries like life and health insurance. Kimberly is passionate about embedding security into the product and platform lifecycle from day one, viewing it not as a checkpoint, but as a core component of product innovation and long-term system design. Kimberly, welcome to the show.
Hi, KJ. Thank you for having me.
No, I really appreciate you, and I've been looking forward to this for a while. So let's jump right into question one. So what are the most pressing security challenges you face when building and shipping products at enterprise scale? And how do those challenges shape your product decisions from day one?
Okay, absolutely. I can answer that for you. So just to give a little bit of background, I work in an insurance industry, and right now my focus is on migrating our legacy applications over to the cloud. So I'm dealing with life and health, if you think personal health insurance. So the data is not just data. We're dealing with people's lives. So we're handling sensitive health information as well as personal data. So right now, my biggest challenge is consistency. So when you think of a 10-year-old application versus a 2-year-old application, making sure that the security is the same across the applications. And so we have multiple teams that are designing and building. So it's to ensure that all of the teams are doing the same thing when it comes to security. And right now, the way that I'm shaping that is I don't look at security as the last thing that we do when we're getting ready to ship, just checking off a security and InfoSec list. It's more about making sure that I understand what are we building, what information needs to be shared or seen by the user. So kind of the least privilege is what I use when it comes to building and shipping.
So how do your people feel about that? Least privileged, since they don't have the rights that they have, that they're used to having.
So it's about bringing them along on the journey for me, is just ensuring during the discovery process to make sure that whoever it may be, my stakeholders, whether it's an agent, because I have applications that are agent facing, whether it be internal claims and things like that, just making sure they understand the reasons and the why behind the changes that we're making.
Yeah, the reasons and the why I think are huge, right? Sometimes, I come from the military, so why isn't a thing, right? So it's like, but I understand here in the civilian world, you have to outline things. You have to then bring people along on the journey. It's almost like birthing a baby, right? Like you kind of take them along and get them right. So, so answer me this. So is there a moment where the security consideration was, forced, that you really had to rethink that product decision? And what did that teach you along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are applications that we have that are vendor applications that we utilize. And again, having to say that today we're doing it this way, where we're having the vendor to connect to our database, which has sensitive data and things like that, to now moving to the cloud where, hey, we're having to build an API of our own to actually be the integrator, as opposed to allowing the vendor to connect directly to our database. Me understanding that as well as to be able to help my team know this is why we're doing things. Again, going back to the why, right, to make sure that it is done consistently and it's no one's cutting a corner because, a small book could turn into a $5 million, bigger issue. So just making sure that I understand the why so that I'm able to help direct my teams to build it accurately.
I think that's commendable right there, right? I think you said that a main thing there is I need to understand the why so I can communicate that effectively to my team, right? Because those are going to be the folks that are asking the questions. You're like, hey, I just want to get this done. But you already know the bullets that are coming back at you if you just go to your team and say, hey, I want this done. They're going to be like, but why? Right? So super cool, super awesome. And so when AI, AI is the thing of today's future. So how is AI changing the products you build? And what is new security or trust concerns that's being introduced?
Oh yeah, AI is a cool thing, man. And actually, in my organization, we're pushing it for the developers to use that as they build things, and obviously they're loving it too because they get to showcase, all the cool things or whatever. So, in my case specifically, when we talk about data, I mean, obviously it's helping us with data analytics. You can get there faster and figure
Right.
out what's the best way to go. But then when you think about that, us moving from a kind of static data to more of like a fluid place, it kind of puts us in a situation where it's more, let's try to understand the gaps, because now
Mm,
we're wanting to know, how does this work? We're introducing new things. And then even with certain models, when we think about setting rates for insurance for our customers, this AI is giving us certain information. Is it biased and things like that? So we're having to make sure that we keep all of those things at the forefront. So right now, although it's fun and it helps us get our work done faster.
right.
My biggest concern is just making sure that when we are building out these, I bring along the InfoSec team, the security guys, into our initial design so that we are putting the right guardrails in place as we get ready to build different things.
Yeah. So when you're rolling that out, then how does that look? Are you doing full rollout on, for AI in certain applications, or are you doing a partial, hey, let's go and get these 5 organizations within our company and have them test out a few people in each organization? Or is it just that full rollout?
No, so we're doing almost like a stage rollout in
Okay.
phases. So it is certain applications that we know, okay, where there's maybe less risk, not that it's no risk, but it's
Right.
like, let's try with this one that, hey, there may be, not as used as much, or there's not as much sensitive data depending on, what's going, and let's try it out and let's see how it works. Then now we roll it out to the next phase and just bigger groups. And then it's also within like our insurance, we have life, health, investment
Mhm.
planning or whatever. So right now it's just one entity. So health is being the one that we're utilizing to be our test dummy,
Right.
if you will. So yeah.
No, so when you think about the utilization of that, right? So if you're pushing this out, how are, for all intents and purposes, your customers, right, employees, how are they like utilizing this? Are you seeing productivity gains, or what are some of the metrics and KPIs that really you focus on to ensure you're doing the right thing?
Oh, absolutely. So I'll use one example. We have a application that's customer facing, and we utilize it to bring in new business. So it's like one of our quoting applications, and
Mhm.
obviously redesigning it. On the UI, it's a cool new screen. It looks all good, but we have seen an uptick of customers using the newer application with a lot of the security risk, where it's asking, okay, is this person 18 or older, and things like that that wasn't there on the legacy, and then now referring them back to an agent instead of allowing them to continue on the application process. So we're seeing a lot of new business coming through using it, our new applications, as opposed to the older ones, which is
Nice.
a good
I like
sign.
that. I know, I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. And so where do you really draw the line then, in when, between moving fast and then staying competitive or slowing down to get the security trust just right for you guys?
So I think that's one of another challenge, is because, hey, everyone wants to ship things really fast, and we know all
Mhm.
about using that. But I think for me, again, it's always about, okay, we can move fast and everything looks shiny and new, but let's make sure, are we exposing something that shouldn't be exposed, or is there a possibility that we don't have the right security layer that could
Right.
later, put us in a position where something could happen. So it's just about making sure that I have the right teams at the table when we're building, and then as we go throughout the process, to making sure that everybody's still on the same page by the time we
Right.
get there, because things shift. There's new features and things that come up, but just making sure before we hit the go live button that we're still at the right security design that we've talked about initially.
Agreed. No, agreed. I think that's a very valid and a very solid plan there. So when you think about leadership, right? You're a leader. You think you work with a lot of other leaders. So what are some of those leadership principles you've developed to drive security conscious products in the culture? And then what advice would you give to someone early in their career trying to earn that type of influence?
So I'm about obviously transparency, but making like the hard thing and easy thing. It sounds weird, but I think if you show the team how to do things the right way and make it easier enough for them to understand it, they won't have to try to cut corners, which then puts our security at risk. And they're trying to, obviously the developer can do whatever you ask for them to do, but we want them to do it the right way. So for me, it's always, like I said, I'm an open book when I'm talking to my different teams, and just letting them know the why, but then also telling them the right way to do things so that they are not trying to find a workaround to build something. So that's my culture here with all of the various developers team, is just making sure we catch security flaws early. And that also design phases is celebrated. Like, so we don't treat it as, oh gosh, InfoSec team's coming in here now, they're going to tell us this. So we use it as a good thing. Like, hey, it's a win for all of us.
Right. No, as it should be, right? Like, hey, your application is not getting hacked. That's a win. So yes. I don't think people celebrate those a lot. And I like the fact that you do. So when you think about the mistakes that you see in some of those early in career professionals make when trying to really drive security culture, how do you course correct that?
I think I'm more of a understanding, like I kind of mentioned earlier on, understanding it for yourself. So I would give someone an advice to understand the security, constraints and things up earlier, and understanding, hey, it's not just a simple vulnerability, or it's not just hey, they're asking us to bump up to a different, security version or whatever, to understand what can happen if we don't. So then now when you're having discussions with your team, or you're having discussions with C-suite or whatever the case may be, you're not just speaking to, oh, we have 2 vulnerabilities for this application. Hey, we have these vulnerabilities that could potentially be $1 million liabilities for us going down the line. Yes. So I would think just my translation to anyone would just basically be really to understand what the security measures are and why we have them in place, to understand the risk and the bigger impact.
No, I agree. That's huge. And so for the listeners out there, Kimberly, what are your final thoughts on, security overall, the leadership, AI? What are some nuggets you would give the listeners?
Oh man, I would just think that there's no role or no space that's small. Like, security impacts every role. Not just a leader or not just someone in InfoSec. Think about the type of work that you're touching. Regardless, obviously I'm in insurance, so it's not just a big thing here. It's a big thing in any company, any sector. But I would just say, don't look at your role as small just because you may not be in the security realm. And I would say just kind of learn your product or your whatever it is that you're doing from beginning to end, to just kind of see the big picture, so you can kind of understand your piece of it and how that could kind of impact security.
No, I love it. Kimberly, I really appreciate you bringing the energy. I appreciate you bringing the knowledge. And I look forward in future episodes to have you on again. And so we can do this again for our listeners. So thank you again for joining.
Oh, thank you, Kenneth. This is great.
Awesome.
And that's a wrap. Not just on this episode, but on season 3 of Secured with Dr. KJ. And what a way to close it out. Kimberly Williams brought the energy, the insight, and a reminder that security is not a checkbox at the end of a project. It's a mindset that starts at the very beginning. From driving consistency across legacy and modern applications, to embedding least privilege into product design, to rolling out AI in thoughtful, phased approaches, Kimberly showed us what it looks like when a product leader truly owns security as part of the build. And that message she left us with, that no role is too small to impact security, that's something every listener should carry forward. I want to thank every single guest who joined me this season and every single listener who tuned in. Season 3 has been one for the books, and I'm already looking forward to what's next. Until then, stay secure, stay curious, and keep leading with purpose. This has been Secured with Dr. KJ, securing tomorrow, one episode at a time.